Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Knoll, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. Bernicia, ooh, XOXO to you too. Amen. New setup? Not really. I just learned how to use my cell phone. So I just learned how to use my cell phone. Oh, I knew this would happen. I threw away my net. Oh, hey, Chloe. I knew you were, Chloe. The great shaman knows all. Dosaki. We're wearing same color. Yeah, it's been a mostly sleep day. And the shirt's still clean. I didn't sweat in it. I put it on late yesterday afternoon, and I don't feel like it's been a whole day worthy enough to change shirts. Besides that, it was a really long sleep day. I needed it. I'd been up for days. And oh, yeah, Dominic, oh, I seen you in there. And so I want to bring, you know, happy tidings on. My friend that needed the operation got it, and it was successful. And my sister said, I got to, I won't tell his name, but I'll tell this on him, the dirt. As the title of this video um, is speaking of the unspeakable. Well, my friend is a good dude, but he was a machine operator. He operated heavy machinery, backhoes, front end loaders, that kind of thing. So, they make a lot of noise. And so, because they make a lot of noise, if someone who operates one ever has to speak to someone else, it's always, hey, bring that over here. Twee. That'll bring up the snot from the gut. Yum, yum. And so that's one. And you just have to understand that other man, okay? And he's worked hard all his life on heavy equipment, with heavy equipment. So now he's in serious pain. He's in serious pain for him to be in the hospital, okay? So he's in the hospital for serious pain. But as he is in there for serious pain, all he can do is complain to go home. If you don't fix me, if you don't do something right now, I'm just going to get out of this goddamn bed and I'm going to go home. I can do better than this. For 3 days. On whatever floor that he was on, 3 days. So he had called in a panic this morning to my sister and his wife that they needed to be there at 7 o'clock in the a.m. So it's just started to rain. Hmm. Oh, they needed to give him a lot more morphine with some Seconal. you know, you got to throw some Seconal in there, man. And I can't believe well, it makes you sleepy. And so, and the morphine, it will kill the pain, but you got to give him the Seconal. I know because that's what they gave me when I was being an asshole on the fourth floor. And I didn't know I was being an asshole. I just have a loud voice. And he left the door open. So, and I was embarrassed beyond belief when I was in with my back pain. But knowing how he felt, having had to wait for an operation for 3 days after finding the blood clot in my back 3 years ago, I was screaming and bring ice, bring this, give me morphine. I was in pain. And when you're in that state of mind, rationality goes out the window. But on Brad's defense, ooh, I said his name. On Brad's defense, he was a machine operator all his life. Okay. That really is a big part of this. The other part of this is that he's always been a machine operator. He's always been sort of self employed. Even though he worked for somebody else, they couldn't operate the machines that he did. Therefore, he was sort of an independent operator. He got on his machine and he was independent. So that meant he could get off that machine anytime he wanted to, even though you know, the boss man didn't really, get too much because if you operate a machine properly, getting off of it once in a while is not a big deal. You need a break. So they came that my sister got there with his wife at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock this morning. They were there pretty early. And so he's like, they told me to have, everybody here at 7:30 and you weren't here. Blah, blah. So for the next hour and a half, he chastised them for not being there. Hey there, Crow, what you know? So I'm really drawing out this story, but because I'm thinking of the next thing. But there it goes. There goes my froggy. Did you hear the frog? So he's supposed to be operated on at 10 o'clock. Now, I've been operated several times the last few years, right? I've been in the system, right? And they get one person ready and there's another person ready. Now, there was one time that I was the first in line. I was the first person to get operated on, okay? And I was like, all right. So that was fun. But every other operation I've been involved with, that they always say it's 10 o'clock, right? And at 11:15, they're like, the operating room knows you're there, and they'll be up when they get ready. And so that's sort of pre-flight for the person going down, pre-flight. Oh, the operating room's thinking about you, you know. Um, Dos Equis. And so 30 minutes later, these guys in different uniforms operating stuff, and maybe, the masks sort of down to here, and they got the scrub thingy, they're wearing on their head, and they come in and they look at your chart and what's your birthday, and from what planet do you come from, and and they wheel your bed around a little bit, and then they leave. Well, some of them do. and where they go, who knows? I think they go to the nurse's station, and they say, "Okay, we're ready for patient Umpty Scrunch to go down," and and so about 11:30, these gentlemen come in, and it's finally time for you guys to come here. You finally come to pick me up. God, son of a bitch, I've been paid. Who's the way to buy on it? Okay. And my sister and his wife are exhausted by this time, dealing with her husband and very dear friend, and they wheel him out. And as they wheel him out of the room, all of the nurses and patients come out of the rooms, plural, and stand in the doorway and line the hall as they push him towards the elevator. And someone begins to clap. And then they all start clapping. And they have voted him the rudest patient ever, and it's like, oh my God, the rudest patient ever. So it's like, okay, I sort of had that kind of moment when I was in the hospital for my back. And as I left the hospital and as they were wheeling me out, I was like, I'm sorry I was such a bad patient. My apologies. I love you all for taking care of me. I did. I really did. Now, I don't know if Brad's going to do that, but I doubt it. But the bottom line of that is, as they were wheeling him down the elevator, somebody yelled, give him more drugs and knock him out. I took him for it. Came on, Chloe. I did, I swear. They're all over there. So they finally operated on him a little after 12. That's how things go in hospitals and things. But my sister said he was operated on in one of the most beautiful hospitals she's ever seen. And we kind of sort of been around. Yes, the rudest person ever. Patients and staff alike. You have been nominated, Mr. Ellaby, as the rudest patient ever in the hospital's history. Your name, we're going to put a plaque on the wall for you. Yeah. Give him more second off as they're going to the elevator, and I know the feeling. You're laying there and they're wheeling you, and you're usually going face first, but they get to the elevator and they push the button in you, and everybody, not me, but him, I could just see it, man. They're all clapping. Yay, knock him out. God, I just can't believe, having well, I know what it's like to have that much pain. But he's sort of rude anyway. On a good day, he can be rude. He's not a bad person. I've known him all my life. He's not a bad person. He'd help you out in a heartbeat. But he's a little loud, sort of like me sometimes. But he would stop in the rain and help you change your tire, Not only would he stop to help you change your tire if you needed it, he would stop in the rain to help you change your tire, okay? Because he's been in the rain. We worked on the carnival in the rain, on Saturday nights at 12 o'clock, if it was raining outside, we had to tear the carnival down by sunrise, and that was what we had to do. So there were many times you had to work in the rain, whether you liked it or not. And raincoats didn't work. You whatever shirt or whatever, it just got wet and you got used to it. But so his surgery went very well, the doctor said. And they were glad that he was knocked out because apparently, and it was very complicated, but they were able to go in, take care of the matter, and sew him back up. And part of his mouth has been sewed up, so he can't quite holler loud enough. I'm kidding about that part. But so thank you to the spirits. Um, the operation went well. So moving on to other things, but it actually has something to do with the subject of this morning's subject. Speaking about unspeakable things. Well, the last time, if I were to go down to see my friend in the hospital, I'm not sure that I would ask real loudly, hey, what room is that loudmouth in? The one that got voted, or would I go in and go, hey, can you tell me what room Mr. Ellerby's in? What did you say? You want to know what room Mr. Ellerby's in? Quiet. Hey, that guy over there, he must know that loudmouth that was on fourth floor. Man, that's right. He was voted the most worst person ever in the history of the hospital. Yeah, that must be bad when you got to do that. It's a 20. Why do I want to light a cigarette? Well, so I have this bowl here that has like sort of artwork on it. It's soapstone. Wow, that looks pretty good, isn't it? This camera does pretty good. But it's on all the sides. See, it's got to be in the light just right, of course. And then there's the back side that is mostly smooth. And then the other side. Now, why would they make the bottom smooth without anything on it? Because you can't read it when it's sitting on the... And I have something to put in it, which I will not show. Oops. There went one. I have too much stuff over here on my little... It's not a counter, it's just a space. And the computer's here. So why am I talking about this? The speaking the unspeakable. I'm watching different things and I get triggered. So I got a piece of paper over here. It's actually back of an envelope from, send your payment in here. And I usually go online or in person. And so I'm listening to this thing and, just kind of zoning out. Not stoned, but zoning out. And they say something. I was like, what? The unspeakable. And then it prompted something. And I was like, as a shaman in training, I was in this ring of folks. And somebody had said, there's a legend of the story. A legend of the story, okay? A legend of the story of those who we don't, of those of whom we do not speak. And everybody cringed. We don't speak of that. And the person was like, I know. It's a legend of that story. So she was trying to calm them down, and they weren't having it, you know. And my mentor in the was sitting one or two people over, so I could see him across the circle, and he was like looking at me, and I was looking at him like, "What's up?" You know. Um, to him who shall not be named. And I'm like, well, okay, so we can talk about him as long as we don't name him, right? No, no, you can't. No, you stop thinking about him. Him who shall not be named. But I don't know who you're talking about. So that kind of went around a little bit, and she was involved in this, and so my thing was like, okay, and they were like, shut up. And I said, okay, it's not my circle, it's not my thing. I'm here to gain information, and ooh, that's creepy. you know, you can't talk about the the thing, whatever, that shall not be named. Well, then how you gonna know about it? Is my basic bottom line. How can I learn about something to avoid? Don't say those words. What words? Those words. You don't say those words. Yeah, but I don't know the words you're talking about. You can't talk about those words. You don't understand, dumbass. I don't know what the words are you're talking about. Stop talking about them. And that's the way it went around. And so I'm like, okay, touchy subject. Hey, Crow, how are your eyes now? Are you still having issues with focus? Yes. This eye is not working right. It looks smudged. And I spoke with the doctor the other day, and I have appointment at 8 o'clock on the 9th in her office. So I got to be there 7:45. Knock on the door to let me in because I'll be the first patient, I guess. But it's not bad. But I'm sitting here and I'm like, I kept thinking it would clear up. And if I squint just right, I can get it, And I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't have to squint like that before, but so and from here to my TV, it's always the same distance before I went and now, right? So I'm sitting here and I'm squinting my ass off trying to read the print, and I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't have to squint at the TV before I had the cataract surgery. Now everything is at 20 times brighter than it was. No problem. But if you're asking me, how did the doctor do? And this is not a bitch now. The right eye has just not quite played in there. Anyway, on with my story before I get sidelined. It's your fault, Crew. All right, folks in the audience, you can blame Crow for that. Uh, but speaking of the unspeakable, so in my storytelling hunting, I have bumped into folks and they're like, you can't speak about that. Well, okay, to whom? Don't speak about it. Well, you're in a small town with the carnival, and you're talking with the locals and you hear something and Johnny was a schoolboy. Um, and I'm sorry, when he heard his first Beatles song, and it's like, and they knew it wouldn't be long. But Johnny was a schoolboy. Anyway, lyrics. but you don't talk about Johnny. Why? Well, because him and his girlfriend wrecked and they were killed. Well, I thought you couldn't talk about it. Shh, shh, quiet. Hey, Katniss, how are you, my love? And so, did everything go well the other day? Did you have to go or something? Well, anyway, good to see you. Richard is in the house. Oh. It only shows 3 people here that's online. So, but anyway, so on with the story. Well, on with the theme for this morning. So, in my earnest quest to find things that you're not supposed to talk about in my hunt, in my storytelling hunt, right? Over the many, many, many years, I'm 73 in the cup on the 24th, which is also the cusp thingy. And Richard, are you the crow? Did you switch from M? Did I just remember that? Okay. Thank you, Katniss. You always tell me the truth. Oh, that's the smooth side too. Anyway, thank you. I was like, I'm supposed to know this. Oh, yeah, let me in on a secret. But see, that's sort of what I mean. I forgot Richard's crow now. Crow is Richard the crow. And do you eat eyeballs? Um, so say a bunch of people in a village forgot. What do you mean? They all got old timers disease from the water they were drinking. Literally. Minerals in the water too strong and kind of sort of turning their brains into jello. Honestly, it was not their fault. They didn't do it. And so you say, "Ooh, good mountain water. Yeah, go drink some." How come mountain people are a little on the side? It's the minerals. They're healthy as hell, and they live to be 102. But that's not really true. I'm joking. It's a joke. It's supposed to be ironical, weird humor. Anyway, but to search for the truth of the unspeakable, somewhere along the line, you got to talk about it. So, in watching I missed the 20. In watching Skinwalker Ranch and the Frog Tree Branch, blind Frog Ranch things. Yes, sir. Hey, X, were you already here or do you just get here? And it doesn't matter. Hi. I do that on occasions, right, Hawkeye? Right, Katniss? See, that yesterday, if you missed it, I was all about, the conscious and the quantum. And there you go. I am lately, Chloe. Oh, I am lately, Chloe. I thought by reading it, I was like, I am lately, I'm Chloe. What? You transpired? I just got here. I just killed my live stream. Oh, I didn't know you had a live stream. X. Man, I'm so dumb. We should do a together live stream, X. you know. Honest. But see, after all these tries, I have just figured out how to do the cell phone correctly and get the camera in the right place and it not be the skinny side up, and how to I'm just learning it. So that just proves I can learn things, but I'm slow. So I have not learned how to do the share screen, and the computer, YouTube still will not let me publish or go live. Now I can use the computer if I go through StreamYard with Robert on Tuesdays, and the computer and everything works just fine. But when I try to do it for YouTube, it will not. I wish you did stream. What? And that way you could have a panel. Well, see, do you know how to do it? X, do you know how to use StreamYard? Because what I need is someone who knows how to use it that I can talk to on the phone and go, what do you mean by that, StreamYard? And they don't give me a fucking answer. How do you? StreamYard is simpler. Stream is too much what? It has to do with my brain, my traumatic brain injury, X. Honestly, I have an engineering mind, but I got to see it 2 or 3 times. And I have to walk through it 2 or 3 times. I have to write notes on it that I will lose 2 or 3 times. But on that third time, I will have arisen from the grave and I will remember it. And I'll go, oh shit, that's how you do it. Oh, okay. So, and I have asked many people over the last few years, if you have time, which they have not, if you have time, walk me through setting up StreamYard, please. You know, he knows StreamYard. Who knows me? I'm telling you though, whatever hit me last week, as far as the energy waves and stuff that it came from outer space and that we're still kind of sort of getting, and they're really strong. I absolutely do feel a change. My brain's working different, and I mean, like, I can't explain it, but my brain's working different. So, what does that mean to y'all? It means, because I never give up, I'm going to go back through StreamYard and see if I can't figure out how to use it. Okay. They're that bottom line. Because that was my New Year's resolution, but some bitch if it ain't September already. So, there's no, it says there's nobody in the chat. Seriously? It says 0. Oop, now there's 2. What? So, going back to my story that y'all keep interrupting me, but that's okay. The story that the legend that must not be told. Hi, Travis. Hey, Sheila. Hey, how are you? We're sort of having a 20, join us. How smoke what you got, Sheila? I have to watch my nose. My nose is so flipping long. It gets, if I try to light it this way, I'm going to burn the hair that was once in my nostril yesterday. Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, it's 2:34, but that's because they started the 15 minutes ago. Lord have mercy. I just can't shut up. Oh, that's a good one. I'm having one with you. Good for you, Richard, man. I've been thinking about you here lately. And did you know I got the private message from Dante? Doseki. Stay thirsty, my friend. It was great. And last night's video, or yes, it was early in the morning, but last night. Um, I bumped into it by accident. I'll never finish telling this, but that's all right. It's so good to see y'all. Um, 5 days ago now, whenever that was, I was in between going to the doctor and doing this and something and blood tests and anyway, I was on the internet and looking around and something, and I I I think I seen one of the videos that's in this folder. Um, and it was like, ooh, that looks like a Dante place where they might have videos that they don't publish on the Charista site, right? Because he's done that before, and they don't. He doesn't want to put it on the official site, so it's over here on the side. And so I was like, ooh, maybe there's an update, right? So I go over to it, and it says such and such and such and such, and then in parentheses for Hawkeye, two feathers. What the hell? Wait a minute. This video's for me. Well, it's 5 months ago, by the way. So 5 months ago, I was worrying, and I have done the Silent 72 videos over the years. Actually, now it is, and so this bud's for you. This video and Hawkeye Two Feathers. What the hell, right? And here, wait, I forget. I got the TVs on, and it's on YouTube. Let's see. I'll tell you. The channel is called Pathfinder. Okay, just type in Pathfinder in YouTube. And there you will find the most interesting man in the universe for Hawkeye Two Feathers. And there are a couple of other videos in there. The Chronicles of Charistus, A Long Walk, Friends or Foe, Terra Nova, The Invasion of the Planets and the Moons has begun. Attention. And it shows outer space up. It looks like Saturn, actually. Then there is the most interesting man in the universe for Hawkeye Two Feathers. And then there's another one. It's a short one. Angels Like a Biblical Salvation. And then the last one is a 3 minutes and 34 seconds. Finding Ascension. And it was, there's 19 views. 4 years ago. So, my video has had 15 views, and about 6 of them are mine. Because I keep going to it. Because I have brain fog. I see something and go, yeah, I understand that. And oh, yeah, that's cool. And oh, yeah. And oh, that's funny as hell. And oh, yeah. And opportunity waits.
He is the most interesting man in the world. I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I prefer those things. Stay thirsty, my friend.
Stay thirsty, my friends. And so Dante comes on exactly after that, talking. And I'm like, okay. So the title says, For Hawkeye Two Feathers. You shared that link? I said I would be what? I said I would publish a few videos that would avoid YouTube, radar, etc. I remember you saying that. I just don't remember you talking about publishing. See, I have to be reminded. I'm sorry. I spout off a lot of stuff. I have won. I won the award in the state of Georgia. I have a gold medal for extemporaneous speaking. And you all know I can talk for hours. And yeah, I tend to repeat myself sometimes, but usually that's when I get tired. But remembering stuff, not so good in my older age. So not that I don't care or that I don't mind or that I don't remember, but are you the one that I stumbled upon the link to go see Pathfinder? I, I don't know. See, I just remember, how did I get there? It's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm sitting there looking at this short, you know, conglomeration of videos, and the most interesting man in the universe for Hawkeye 2. Submit. Anyway, so yesterday's video was all about Gobeki Tepe Doseki. And the fact that because I can't smoke, this is my X symbol with my pipe. Well, there. My pipe and the X. Stay thirsty, my friends. Doseki. Because I can't drink. So, cheers. Now, if I was sitting at a table with Dante, I would absolutely have a beer. I wouldn't care what it did with my heart medicine. I would have a beer with Dante. You hear that, buddy? I would have a beer with him with no hesitation. No hesitation. And I've never had a Dos Equis, so you know. I don't know how to spell it, but when I spoke it into the word thingy, it knew how to spell it for me. I was like, "Ooh, great! All I got to do is talk." Oh, buddy. So, but I thank you for that. And there are the dreams that I have, and then I wonder, is like, well, is any of this connected? And then all I need once in a while is like, hi. And I go, oh, yeah, okay, everything's good. You know, I don't really even need a pat on the head. I just need somebody to go, check. Okay, good. You'd have a beer with me, smoke a joint, shoot that shit. What? I think you're cool as hell. I would have been watching you for a long time now. Oh, you have? Well, thank you, X. Well, the thing about the beer is that I was an alcoholic, bad. And God did something to my brain. And if I had the least bit of alcohol, because I couldn't quit, I got down to like a half a glass of beer. And I was like, see, I can have a glass of beer and not be an alcoholic. And then one day I had a glass of beer, had a half a glass of beer. See, I'm just bragging shit on it, you know. Look at how I can do, because I was an alcoholic, and now I'm down to a half a glass. And I drank that half a glass, sipped on it, drank it down, and you want another one? No. And I was like, well, let me wait an hour and maybe, you know, that was that. I didn't get drunk, but in 20 minutes I had another because I was sitting at a bar with friends. I've sat at the bar with friends before, had never wanted to drink. No, but you know, but somebody asked me, would you have a beer with me? And I was like, okay. Well, the next morning, I had a headache. I had a headache. I wish that somebody would have just put a stake through my head and killed me. Okay. And so, no matter what I did, the headache stayed with me all day long. And so the message to me was go ahead, brag about having a half a beer. Go ahead. Oh, you quit drinking, Dave. And I'm like, through the whole boom, 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 boom. Please don't do that. Boom, boom, boom. So it was about 2 weeks later, and I wanted to test my theory out. So I didn't brag about anything. You know. So I said, hey, bartender, give me a half. You know, they knew what I meant. So I get a glass, but, you know, that much beer in it. And I look down into the glass and I look up at the sky and I look down in the glass and I look up in the sky. You'd think I was doing a movie. So I tanks the drink. I love the taste of beer. I like to taste different types of beer, right? And so that was good. But I'm not having another. Okay. I had made up my mind before I walked in the experiment, was not going to have another. I wanted to see what a half a glass of beer would do me. Everything was fine. Didn't get sick or nothing. Had a good time, you know, hanging out with my friends. Got home, went to sleep, woke up, boom, boom, boom. Godzilla, boom, boom. Godzilla's brother, boom, boom, boom. The turtle, boom, boom, boom. Well, maybe I shouldn't drink beer anymore. Maybe are you trying to tell me to not drink anything ever again? About 2 weeks later, I tried it again. And I was at some friend's house, passed away, Surge to you. Him and his wife, they're playing cards, right? Or dominoes, is there something? A board game thingy on the picnic table outside on the veranda. Okay. Now I had asked for it was a little fruit glass, yay big, and I was like, "Hey, do you want something to drink? You want a beer? You know, you want to you want to share it?" She was like, "Do you want to share a beer with me?" And so I was like, "Okay." And so they brought me my glass. They knew what the deal was because I was cutting down on my drinking. And she poured the beer out of the bottle into the glass, and that's enough. And so I sipped on it. They were playing the board game, and I was watching, and we were smoking. Okay, so cheers. To my buddy Serge. What the heck can they? And so somewhere in the distance, now I'm awake. There's a candle on the table. There's a light up there in the thing. There's light in there, you know. And whatever they're playing, I can't. It might have been dominoes. I don't know. Hey, Kitty, how you doing? So I'm watching the game. I'm interested in the game. They're passing the joint around. I'm involved. I sip on my beer, and it's only the glass is only this big. It's a fruit glass. I don't remember my head hitting the picnic table. Standard picnic table, painted green. How do I know it's green? Because I could see it from here. I could see the paint on the table from here. You know, oh, I don't know how my face got on the table. I could hear them speaking in this far away land. Well, David's passed out on the table, it looks like. Will that much beer really, affecting that bad? Well, I've known Dave for a long time, and we used to be able to drink beer together, but apparently he can't even drink a half a beer. Oh, well, that's really a shame. And I hear this pounding. Boom, boom, boom. And I hear the chips, the tiles hitting the table. Snap, snap, where they move and that last little bit of the the chip thing hitting the table, click, 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 click. It sounded like a hammer in my head. And where is that coming from, And I'm like, what? And I can hear them talking, and I don't understand what they're saying. I really don't. I'm getting a couple of words every once in a while. I've had this much beer. I will have one, Katniss, two sugars in the milk, please. Oh, me too. So, but anyway, after that night, and I woke up a couple of hours later, slobbering, and they were like, "Hey, Dave, we're going in the house to go to bed. Come on, man, wake up. Are you going home or are you going to sleep on the couch?" Which I had done before. And I was like, "Oh man, no, no, no!" And let me wake up. I'm going home, which I did, but I sat up, and Serge knew had been through this before, and I went out and sat in my truck and sobered up some more, thinking, how in the hell did I get to the slobber state on a half a beer? God's telling me, stop the shit, Dave. We told you you can't have none, and we mean it. Okay. Okay. Now that's been at least 10 years ago. Okay. So I have not tested the waters of whether or not I can have a beer or half a beer, which I would love to sit down and have a beer, just it used to be so simple when I went down to Tampa to visit Pops, or when he came up here, he'd come in and sit around, and we'd go visit the poker games. Sometimes the poker game was here, which he had a ball. He sat over there in the corner of the thing back there, and they wouldn't let him out. There was a smoker of the weed on either side of Pops. He wouldn't take any, but they'd pass it right in front of his nose like this. Cause it's a small place over there in the bay windows that did not work. Um, but Pops drank his beer with the rest of us, not to get drunk or to get weavy, but he participated, and he'd just take a swallow every once in a while and keep playing poker. It was it was great. And he got to play with all of us. And when we were in town, there were women who played in poker, and poker in the game. They played in the game. They played poker, which was the game. Never mind, that came out weird. Ooh. So, but anyway, Dory was there, and what's her name, the tall girl with the foul mouth, and she was there, and then it was his girlfriend, and she would play once in a while. So there were three women, and it would be after a show, after the the after party, a theater party. Okay, so but we just get together and smoke a joint, pass it around the table, and play poker until 3 in the morning. It was great. Um, I miss those days. And nobody argued, nobody fussed. There was some, I'll get you. You got two hands in your card. How can you beat me? And then they'd lay down, two aces, and they go, oh shit. So, but it was great. When the pot was not supposed to get above $5. We were supposed to play penny ante poker, but it was a nickel ante. So instead of pennies, it was nickels. And but if you threw in a quarter, ooh, you meant business. So, but it was fun. But in talking about the things that you don't talk about, staying on topic, mind you, is that we couldn't talk about the after party parties. We couldn't do that to the people, rest of the cast members, the rest of the crew, because none of them smoked weed. Some of them, drank, would have one or two beers, but we wanted to go someplace to smoke weed, and since I couldn't drink, come on, guys. So, but anyway, but there were other people that were like that too. We all wanted to have a smoke. So we stayed at the first party, had a beer, hugged, shoved them out the door, or went somewhere else, and closed the drapes and turned the lights. We turned the lights down low so we could play, something we could not speak of, poker. They always thought when we said poker, they meant they thought we meant poker. No, we didn't. No, there was none of that kind of poking that went on. Now, there might have been some of them sitting in the rocking chair going like this. We didn't ask what they was doing, but they was maybe there was some imaginary poking going on there, but but no, we had a little bit of comedic respite. Um, But no, I'm thinking about the people sitting around the table, and Dory would turn the light down. Not because it was too bright. And but all the people who needed the brightness and everything, yeah, had some wine, yeah, helped them out the door and up the hill, yeah, everything's great. Okay, time for poker. Boom. And everybody went into poker mode. It was like in a movie. And because everybody that was there sometimes were in the play we were doing, or at least working backstage, and were there for the party, the wine, and the poker. But it was part of the things you didn't talk about. Well, what do you mean, Dave? Well, didn't everybody know that you had a party after the party? No, because there were cast members who left early, or folks that like the girls who helped backstage with the makeup and things. No, they went home early. They didn't. They knew because they were there for the after the play party. They were there for that one, but they had to be home by 11 o'clock, and so it's like they stopped by for 10 minutes. We all hugged, took pictures, and they went home. And then that was sort of the next part of the party where folks were a little bit more open with drinking wine and beer because those folks went home and they could open up some more. Well, then from 11 to 12 was that party. And then at 12 o'clock, it was like, woo, gotta go. Okay, bye bye. Get out. And then the poker party started. So, these layers of stuff. So, somebody heard we were talking backstage and went, man, God almighty, that was one of the best. That was one of the best games I ever seen. We went around the table and everybody was betting another nickel, and somebody just said, well, I'm going to bet a dime. And that we had some really good hands, and where somebody's looking across the table, and there's smoke going on and there's a cigar involved. I mean, seriously, there's a cigar involved and they're looking across the table at you. It's like, go ahead and bet. I got three cards in my hand. Go ahead, bet, you know. And it's phenomenal. And the people that most of them are gone, if you could have seen the poker game, you would have swore it was a movie. You would have sworn that we had studied a script because this conversation would go around the table and back and forth. And it just, extemporaneously funny, bust your ass balls laughing. Um, and most of my rowdy friends have rowdied on. But see, that's a story that can't be told. What do you mean? Well, Jim, he was a nice guy and his wife was beautiful. I think she's still alive and she still is. Um, and Jim was a nice guy. And he was. And unfortunately, he was a car salesman, but at least he sold Hondas. Um, Jim was a nice guy. Yeah. And he got testicular cancer because he used to play football back in the day. He played college ball, and he even played on a team that was like, semi pro. And then one day he got sick, and come to find out that at the time, he was taking um, steroids and injections and things. They still do it. But, the chemicals have changed to be less adverse. They still will hurt the hell out of you. But so he took the injections to keep his body up, and he was weightlifting and stuff, and then he got kicked off the squad. Okay, so you're a football player, not many assets. Okay, so he ended up being a car salesman, at least for Honda. You know, his wife, lovely, lovely children, really, really, really Catholic, a stout Catholic. Didn't want to do anything because if he went to church on Sunday, which he did, so the Saturday night party he couldn't participate in, even though he'd sneak over and he'd say, Dave, give me a hit. His wife didn't like him smoking, and she knew I helped him out on occasions, but at least it stayed sort of in the family. He didn't have to go somewhere in the hood to get a little smoke. And so, and he didn't have to be, out back, toking on a big joint that was going around at the time, by the way. Um, but I could give him a toke off a pipe. Here, let me have a hit of that. Okay, here you go. And then he smoked a cigarette. Jim left us way too early. He was a Libra. I was with him in Smoke on the Mountain. And we, instead of doing just 2 weekends, we did 3 weekends. And Jim was the repentant, if you know the plot of the story of Smoke on the Mountain. But so we got to sing together. And if you've ever seen Smoke on the Mountain, which, hey, Barry, what are you doing awake? So Smoke on the Mountain, and Barry says it's playing in Branson. I don't know when I'm going to be able to get there, but if I was there at a performance of Smoke on the Mountain, I would be singing with them. It would be, it might be over in the corner and might have to go back in the back, but I would be singing harmony with them. But Jim left us way too early. And I like to think of, and other people too, that in his Catholic way, he was a spiritual man. But you see, there were things you couldn't talk about Jim. Jim liked to have a little bit of this creator's herb. The goddess has blessed this herb. It was his secret sin, if you will. And I was the Satan that provided it for him. And his wife would always scoff. I mean it. Oh, David, listen, I know how he feels. He's jonesing. Let the guy have a hit off the pipe for you. You know, he's giving it up pretty much, but he's jonesing right now. I know what jonesing feels like. So, what time is it? We're a little early for a 20, but I got to show you what it meant. Hallelujah, Herb. Thank you, Richard. Did you go back to? Oh, don't confuse me. Yeah, buddy. It's hard. It's hard to get a big cherry going in this bowl, and I love it. There's a hole on the side for as a carburetor, and but the bowl is so shallow, and it's so shallow to where the hole is for where the the pipe stem hole, but it's It's great. Got enough for edibles are hitting good. Oh, praise the bowl, brother. Yeah. Now, see, some some outsiders to this conversation and brings levity to the topic of this morning is that, speaking the unspeakable. Well, it's like you would think that we're really bad people. We're talking about weed. We're talking about smoking a bowl. And I'm talking about friends of mine for 20, 30 years that have passed on now, and how sometimes just two or three hits off a bowl, the wife doesn't understand. Okay. He was a warrior. He was a football player. He had muscles and a chest, and he was handsome. And by God, even I knew he was handsome, you know? And he was my friend. And even though our friendship resulted around this, but it wasn't, because we sang together in theater. We looked at each other's eyes when we sang harmony. And when you sing harmony and you're looking at the other in your eyes and you're standing on stage in front of 100 people in a small theater, and you turn and you look at the audience and you look to see what's in their eyes, that's damn it, man. That's an unspeakable story. Dang, that caught me weird. But I've lost a lot of friends that I used to sing harmony with. And if you've ever sang harmony with someone, especially in a show, damn it, man. So here's the thing. Thank you, Katniss. Hugs, 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 hugs. I didn't know that was. I didn't know a topic like that would make me cry. You know, and not so much about him, but I'm remembering the look in his eyes as we sang on stage together, and and we both, it's what you do as actors and singers and on stage. So you singing together and you're doing your thing, and then it's what you're supposed to do is as you're singing, you turn to the audience and sing the rest, and then you come back around and you don't really look directly at the person. You're sort of stage. Well, for me, it would be stage right, and then you stage right, but you still all of the audience is still, and then it's a stage left, and then it's a pan back around as you're singing, but you never look straight back at the other actor or actress. You do that in the beginning. You establish that, and then you bring it to the audience. And only with Elaine Shank would she break that wall with me. She'd tug on my shoulder and then make me look at her again, and then she would go, "I forgot the words." And I'm singing, and I'm remembering the words, and she's watching me so she can remember the words to the song, because Old Timers was getting at her. And she knew the melody. She could sing loud, and she could fake that she knew the words, but she would turn and look at me on stage